Part 33. My Love Simulation with Them. Author, Chiudeo Udaziiwe. Chapter 322. All the feelings of depression and despair were swept away at this moment. It's obviously just simple guitar playing. But it seems to be able to directly touch the hearts of others. Lament loneliness. Out of loneliness again. So strong, this person is called Nangxiangshi. Fellow guitarist Fuko Hanjo was staring at Nango, who was simply strumming the strings in the video. She can feel it. The recording equipment was probably just something like a mobile phone, and the image quality was not particularly clear. In fact, because the recording equipment was not professional, various noises from the scene were recorded. But Nangxiangshi's excellent playing skills, his somehow honed typhoon, and his guitar sound that seemed to touch the heartstrings of others. But she completely forgot about the poor recording equipment and completely immersed herself in the world of guitar. Music that's perfect enough can make up for the device's deficiencies. This made it very obvious to her. Senior Yuyuko, what do you think? She turned her head and looked at Atsuki Yuyuko with some curiosity. Huh? Well, there's nothing to worry about. Under the gaze of Hanjo Fuko, Atsuki Yuyuko crossed her arms, her expression unchanged. Even if she faced such a powerful enemy, her expression would not change at all. This made the band members on one side look at each other and nod. Although it seems very unreliable that his own band leader likes a bassist like Hiroi Kairi. But when it comes to playing, his confidence is truly unmatched. The performance of the band Nangxiang that just ended had already made everyone present feel inexplicably shocked emotions. Only the other party's face remained normal, and he even seemed not to care at all. Obviously such a powerful opponent. So thought the band members present. Then, they heard the indifferent voice of Atsuki Yuyuko, who stood up. Ah, it's really boring. I'm going to use the toilet and then go home. You should go home early too. She waved her hand, opened the door and left. Watch her leaving. Uchida Yuyuo, who had long hair on his back, sighed at this moment. Atsuki-senpai is indeed the lead guitarist of Sideros. There is a reason why he is the leader. Indeed, Hasegawa Amy also nodded. Although I am a drummer, just hearing the other party's performance gives me an inexplicable shocking feeling. That touching feeling, I guess only Atsuki-senpai can do it. No feelings at all. Several band members were talking in the lounge. While lamenting the strength of the band at the end, I also admired Yuyuko Atsuki's inner ability to withstand pressure. And as the center of discussion among them. At this time, Atsuki Yuyuko was leaning against the wall, her expression gradually changing from the calm just now. What the hell? Is this person really the same age as us? How can he be so powerful? With her eyes widened, Atsuki Yuyuko took out her mobile phone and repeatedly watched Nango's actions in the video. How could she not feel it? As a girl in the comic book Lonely Rock, she is called the real Lonely Rock. As for the song I Don't Want to Die in Loneliness played by Nangxiang, I didn't feel anything at all, but it was directly stabbed into my heart by the other party. Because she has also experienced the loneliness of having no one to talk to in school. No one wants to communicate with themselves. No one wants to look into their own eyes. No one even wants to look at me. He was obviously among the crowd. But it's like living on an isolated island. So for the music of Nangxiang period. Atsuki Yuyuko likes it very much. Really like it very much. Even as soon as I walked out of the lounge. She has already added the YouTube account of the band that ended to her watch list. There was even a vague impulse in her. She wanted to go to Shimokitazawa to see the closing band's performance in person. After all, it's all about collecting music. Only when you know yourself and your enemy can you win every battle. This doesn't mean that I just like the music that ends the band. While Atsuki Yuyuko was denying herself, she checked her schedule for tomorrow. Chapter 235. Why not use him? 4,000 words. No one will care. No one will pay attention to it. Confident and powerful. This is her, the great and unconventional Sidaro's lead guitarist and vocalist Itsuki Yuyuko. Yes. It is nonsense to say that I was shocked by yesterday's open-air performance and then wanted to come over to observe and finish the band. She is Itsuki Yuyuko, the lead guitarist of Sidaro's. He is the leader of a super popular emerging band with more than 10,000 followers on Twitter. How could she go through so much trouble and waste her practice time just for an ordinary closing band? Excuse me, which band are you here to watch today? Ah, and the band. Itsuki Yuyuko, who was wearing casual clothes, said to the black ticket clerk in front of her. The result is still here. Looking at the ticket to enter the performance hall in her hand, Itsuki Yuyuko's mouth twitched. But, just come here. Although I feel that the strength of the band that ended is just that, and the ability of the boy named Nang Xiangxi is no more than this, but since he has come over, there is nothing wrong with taking a look. That's right. Wrong. And my disguise is so perfect that even if someone saw me, they wouldn't recognize me as the lead singer and lead guitarist of Sidaro's. In this case, there is no need to hesitate. Finally doing her own psychological work, Itsuki Yuyuko moved towards the interior of the starry show hall. Then. Hey? Is it Itsuki-chan? Well. Just entering the starry exhibition hall, I haven't had time to observe the surrounding environment. Itsuki Yuyuko heard a voice she absolutely didn't want to hear. She saw a purple-haired elder sister taking steps and running towards her. It was Hiroi Kairi who she had been thinking about these days. But why did I meet Sister Julie at this time? Yuyuko Itsuki almost spit out a mouthful of old blood. I finally made up my mind and overcame my tsundere-like awkward mood. As a result, as soon as she came in, she met someone she absolutely didn't want to meet. Is it Itsuki-chan? It really is Itsuki-chan, right? Hiroyuki Kairi, wrapped in a scarf, ran over and said hello with a smile. No. You have the wrong person. Wearing casual clothes and carefully made up, Itsuki Yuyuko still wanted to struggle to deny it. Hey? Why doesn't Itsuki-chan admit it? Hiroi Kairi tilted her head, and then she seemed to have thought of something, and asked, is it possible, Itsuki-chan, that you are also a fan of the band that ended? Certainly not. Being misunderstood by her favorite sister Kairi is the most unacceptable thing for Itsuki Yuyuko. She didn't care whether she would be exposed or not, so she hurriedly explained. I just saw the outdoor performance of one of the band members who ended the band yesterday, and I was shocked. I couldn't sleep, and I kept thinking about ending the band, so I came here. Sister Julie, please don't get me wrong. Isn't this a die-hard fan? That's why it's not like that. I'm not a fan at all. Itsuki Yuyuko blushed. She just liked the music of the boy who finished the outdoor band performance she saw yesterday. How come you become a fan when it comes to Sister Julie? Obviously she didn't mean that at all. That's what she was thinking. Suddenly a figure walked towards him. That is a handsome young man. Her messy short hair was scattered, and her eyes were as calm as the calm autumn lake water. This overly familiar appearance reminded Itsuki Yuyuko of the video she saw yesterday in just a moment. Because the other party appeared completely suddenly. This caused Itsuki Yuyuko's brain to shut down for a while. She subconsciously took out the signature pad from the shoulder bag next to her and poked it directly in front of the black-haired young man. Well, please give me your autograph. Ah. Being poked at the signature board suddenly, his head tilted back subconsciously. Nang Xiangxi glanced at the brown-haired girl in front of him inexplicably. He just wanted to come over and warn Hiroi Kairi, who was making a lot of noise, and ask her to restrain herself. As a result, a signature pad was stamped in front of me. He was a little strange, but he still subconsciously accepted the signature board. Are you a fan of the band that ended? Gu. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiudeo Udazi Iway. Chapter 323. Hateful. I subconsciously took out the signature pad. He obviously wanted to fish in troubled waters when he asked the other party to sign for him. Atsuki Yuyuko was still annoyed that she had acted too suddenly. After hearing Nang Xiangshi's words, I didn't know how to answer them. If Hiroi Kairi was not around, she could use her identity to disguise herself and ask Nango for an autograph without any pressure. But now, I am not a fan of the band that ended. I just wanted an autograph. Nang Xiangshi. Atsuki Yuyuko's too standard and arrogant answer made him couldn't help but glance at Hiroi Kairi. The meaning of that look was clear. This is the person you brought here, now you can find a solution for me. Well. He noticed the oppressive feeling in Nang Xiang's eyes. Hiroi Kairi took 2 steps back guiltily, then hurriedly stretched out her hand to defend. No, it's not like that. I do have a very good relationship with this child, but she came here by herself today, and her name is Atsuki Yuyuko. Alright. Just one look at the purple-haired elder sister's expression and she knew she wasn't lying. Nango Toki did not continue to pursue the matter, but turned around and simply introduced himself. Hello, Miss Atsuki, I am Nango Toki. Then he continued, Miss Atsuki wants to sign the band's signature, right? I will hand it over to them later and ask them to sign it and give it to you. After accepting the signature pad, Nang Xiangshi originally thought that the matter was over. But after receiving the signature board in Nang Xiang, he clearly saw Atsuki Yuyuko staring at him with an extremely puzzled expression. This made Nang Xiang a little strange. There should be no problem with what he just said. Why does the other party look like he doesn't understand? Sure enough, it doesn't feel like a normal person to be related to Jumenzi's purple-haired eldest sister. He thought and then asked, is there anything else? Miss Atsuki. No. Isn't Nango-san a member of the ending band? Atsuki Yuyuko does not quite understand. She found out about Nan Xiangshi through the band's YouTube account. Naturally, he clearly knew that the young man in front of him was very powerful on the guitar. But what the other party said just now seemed as if he was not one of the people who ended the band. This made her feel strange. So this is Nang Xiangshi suddenly understood and explained with a smile, I guess Sister Julie hasn't told you that I am indeed not an official member of the ending band. I am just a support member of the ending band. Are support members that strong? The voice suddenly rose in pitch. Different from the calmness in Nang Xiang, Atsuki Yuyuko Akane's red eyes widened. Obviously, she didn't expect that Nan Xiang would only be considered a supporting member of the band that ended. The so-called support members are actually equivalent to the backup members of the band. Strictly speaking, they are not formal members of the band. They will only help with the band's performance when necessary. And yesterday, Atsuki Yuyuko heard the actual performance level of Nango. The other party's level should be enough to serve as a full member in most bands. But in the closing band, he can only be a support member? Then think about it the other way around. How terrible would it be to end the band as a whole? If Yuyuko Atsuki was only interested in Nango Toki at the beginning, she had no feelings about ending the band as a whole. So now, she does feel the pressure. Unexpectedly, it was hidden in the Stars exhibition hall in Shimokitazawa. There is still a band of this caliber hidden? I really want to pay my respects. Taking off her makeup glasses, Atsuki Yuyuko became a little more serious. Because according to the information revealed so far, maybe the ending band will also be their future rivals as the Cidaros band. She became interested. This also made Nang Xiangshi look at Hiroi Kairi on the other side. What's going on? Oh, maybe it's because of fighting spirit or something like that. That's what Atsuki-chan is like. Hiroi Kairi chuckled. Because I have been abstaining from alcohol for the past few days, and Nangxiang deliberately added some ingredients to replenish his vitality when making dishes. Hiroikairi's complexion is much better than before. Her skin, which was originally fair and seemed a bit pale, has now become much pinker. Here comes the fighting spirit. Nangxiang glanced sideways at Atsuki Yuyuko in front of him. Then there was some clarity. After the other party took off his glasses, he figured out the identity of this girl who seemed to have a good relationship with Hiroikairi. Isn't this the lead singer of the Cidaros band? Although Nangxiang has not read the plot behind the comic Lonely Rock. But because the band has recently finished preparing to participate in the 10th Generation Music Festival. He also used his mobile phone to search online for some of the more famous young bands in Tokyo. The Cidaros band where Atsuki Yuyuko is a member is one of them. It is said to be a very popular band that just emerged this year. Active in Shinjuku with strong popularity, and quickly accumulated more than 10,000 fans online, they are a band that can carry out live activities independently. Same. The other party is also a strong competitor in this 10th Generation Music Festival. And the band if they want to win. So the heavy metal Cidaros band that Atsuki Yuyuko is in is definitely a hurdle that the band cannot avoid. Do you regard the ending band as your rival? Nangxiang touched his chin. Then, he saw Atsuki Yuyuko, who had been serious just now, suddenly turned her head and looked at him with a red face. That. Can you please sign it first? Pointing to the signature pad in Nangxiang's hand, Atsuki Yuyuko spoke with some embarrassment. Do you want my signature? Nangxiang was a little confused. Atsuki Yuyuko nodded. Give. The other party's request was not excessive. For Nangxiang, it was just a matter of effort. He left a concise signature on the signature board in a standard font and handed it to Atsuki Yuyuko. Thank you, for that, Nango-san, I like your playing style very much. Taking the signature pad, Atsuki Yuyuko said what she wanted to say. Ah, thank you for the compliment. Nangxiang responded with a smile. He probably guessed why Atsuki Yuyuko came here. Maybe it's because of the few open-air performance videos on the YouTube account. No wonder Atsuki Yuyuko mistook him for a member of the band that ended. But, forget it. Nangxiang raised his head and looked at the stage. The band's performance for the day was about to begin, and he was going to explain later. Similarly, Atsuki Yuyuko below also noticed that the performance was about to begin. She put Nangxiang's signature into her shoulder bag with great care, and then raised her head. Although this time it was mainly for Nangxiang's signature. It is indeed a pity not to see him appear. But here I can see the powerful level of ending the band that even a guitarist of Nangxiang's caliber doesn't need. She felt that her trip was not in vain. She thought so, held her breath, raised her head, and listened intently to the closing band's performance. Then. Why? Atsuki Yuyuko in the audience looked at the closing band on the stage with a look of astonishment on her face, and her lips opened subconsciously. Make this surprised expression. Not because ending the band's performance wasn't what she expected. It's not because the performance is too perfect. But. This can only be said to be good, right? After making a sound, Atsuki Yuyuko's face was filled with astonishment. She originally thought that the strength of the band that ended as a formal member of Nangxiang was unfathomable and unfathomable. But after actually listening to their performance, only then did Atsuki Yuyuko realize that she was so wrong. Ending the band's set. Can't say it's bad. But it can't be said to be very good. It can only be said that it is quite satisfactory. There are indeed bright spots in it, but it does not reach the feeling of the open-air performance in Nangxiang at all. It's a band that's developing, but not yet fully developed. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiudeo Udazi. Chapter 324. It was far from the unfathomable and perfect performance she envisioned. Just at this time, everyone in the closing band on stage also packed up their equipment and walked off. Atsuki Yuyuko, who was full of confusion, finally spoke. I said, "Are you kidding me?" Ah! The girls who had just walked off the stage didn't know what happened, and looked at Atsuki Yuyuko, who suddenly jumped out in front of them with confusion on their faces. Ah, for what? Atsuki Yuyuko really can't understand it? She looked at everyone finishing the band and couldn't help but continue, "Why do you have to leave such a powerful support member alone?" When she pointed at Nangxiang standing next to her, her voice was full of incomprehension. As long as we use Nangxiang-san, the band's strength will surely be improved to a higher level, right? Chapter 236. Random Daughter Manifestation Card Use. 4,000 words. Under the introduction of Hiroi Kairi, everyone present got to know Atsuki Yuyuko, and everyone sat in the lounge. But even if you sit in the lounge, Atsuki Yuyuko also had the same incomprehensible expression, and stared at the four girls who ended the band with unkind eyes. Are these four guys really serious about being a band? There is obviously a guitarist like Nangxiang Shi, so why not let him appear on stage? You know, if you can have the strength like Nangxiang, with the end in sight, the band can definitely take it to the next level. Holding her chest with a very unhappy expression, Atsuki Yuyuko still muttered in dissatisfaction. You can't even see the greatness of Nango-san. Ending the band just seems like that, right? Sister, you haven't come to watch our band's performance for more than a month. Are you just here to watch this kind of band's performance? I'm going to be angry. Obviously Nangxiang-san plays so well. Why do you have to sit on the bench? She is still there to fight against injustice. Nangxiang Shi, who was sitting here, couldn't help but glance sideways at Hiroi Kairi. Well, feeling Nangxiang's gaze that was like needle pricks, Hiroi Kairi was still laughing and joking, but her expression suddenly became dull as she observed that things had become interesting. Because Nangxiang's expression was that of not giving her food tonight. Brother Nangxiang, don't worry about it. That's just how that child is. But don't look at her harsh words, but she is actually quite friendly at heart. She lowered her voice as she cautiously approached Nangxiang. Very friendly. Nangxiang glanced at Atsuki Yuyuko. Just look at the other person's appearance. He roughly understood what the other party was made of. There is a high probability that he is a tsundere. Moreover, she is a tough-talking, soft-hearted type of tsundere who was very common in the market in the past but is relatively rare now. Thinking of this, Nangxiang said simply, "Miss Atsuki." "Ah, Nangxiang-san, what's the matter?" Atsuki Yuyuko, who had just looked evil at the girls who had finished the band, turned around and changed her expression to a gentle one when she heard Nango's voice. "I remember you are the lead singer and guitarist of Sideros, right? I wonder if you have anything you want to do when you come here this time. What do you want to do?" Atsuki Yuyuko glanced at the girls in the band who were also looking at her curiously, and spoke directly. "Originally, I wanted to come over and listen to the band after they finished their performance. After all, they may be our Sideros competitors for the 10th Generation Music Festival." Then she looked disgusted again and continued to speak. "But what I didn't expect was that the band's level of ending was only this high. It's really disappointing. This is a bit harsh. It was a bit heavy, at least for the members of the closing band. You must know that Atsuki Yuyuko is an industry insider after all. Evaluated by industry insiders like her. Not only did the band end, even if it were another band, they would still feel like they were hit. Not to mention the ending band, except for MS Yamada, Ichiri Goto, Hikaru Itaka and Ikuyo Kida, These three girls are not that strong in resisting attacks. Suddenly being evaluated like this, they must feel depressed now, right? Of course Nang Xiangxi didn't want to see this kind of scene, and planned to say a few words to help end the band. But before he could speak, "Well, I don't know what Atsuki-san said, there is a problem with our performance, what exactly is the problem?" There was something unexpected in Nang Xiang. Because the person who took the initiative to speak was not Miss Yamada, who he thought had the strongest ability to withstand attacks. It is precisely the very delicate Hungzia attack that he is more worried about. The other party was looking at Yuyuko Atsuki at this time. This surprised Nang Xiang. You know, because of his gentleness and caring character for other people in the team. Itaki Hungzia will always summarize the problem to herself. This is her strength as well as her weakness. Taking the initiative to stand up and negotiate with Yuyuko Atsuki, who spoke so harshly, this was indeed not something she could do. But then, something even more surprising happened to Nang Xiangxi. I also think that if there is a problem with the band, Atsuki-san can help us point it out. Me too. The ones who raised their palms and made a sound were Ikuyo Kida and Kazuri Goto, who usually didn't dare to speak. They did not show disappointed expressions as Nang Xiang expected. Instead, he looked serious and asked Atsuki Yuyuko with a scholarly attitude. Forget it, Ikuyo Kida. Even a girl like Goto Kazuri, who is afraid of society and has low self-esteem, is actually willing to take the initiative to talk to her? And I still felt it in Nang Xiang. Although Ms. Yamada next to her did not speak. But judging from her expression, she actually didn't care much about what Atsuki Yuyuko said just now. It really disappoints me. This made Nang Xiang a little strange. The closing band in his impression and the closing band in the early stages of the simulation were not like this at all. Ending band in the early days of simulation. It should be a band that is more delicate and cares more about other people's comments. Nan Xiang fell silent for a moment. But at this time, Hiroi Kairi, who had touched him at some point, said with a smile. Actually, little brother Nang Xiang, if you are concerned, you are in trouble. She sat down next to Nang Xiangxi, held up her face, and said with a smile. Actually, under your influence, the band has already grown. Yes. Hiroi Kairi is also observing the closing band. She certainly understands how much help Nang Xiangxi's appearance brought to end the band. In the past, when the little lonely encountered such an occasion, it would have been impossible for him to take the initiative to join in. When Hiroi Kairi stared at Nang Xiang, the same goes for Ryo. She has always been free and carefree and doesn't care about other people's eyes. If she were the same as before, she would definitely be the first to stand up, right? In addition to this, there are Hungzia-chan and Kida-chan. Brother Nang Xiang, your presence has also affected them. They are more confident than before. When talking about this, Hiroi Kairi couldn't help but sigh. Because she had never thought before that such a great chemical reaction could occur between men and women. Should they consider recruiting a particularly handsome boy like Nang Xiangxi into their band? She thought, then shook her head. No. I'm afraid not. In Nang Xiang, there was only one person in the world. Even if she recruits other boys into her band, they probably won't achieve the same effect as in Nang Xiang. Think of this. Hiroi Kairi then spoke, it's just that Nang Xiang brother usually gets too close to them, so he ignores their growth. They are not as fragile now as when you first met them. She slowly stretched out a finger, the pure black nail polish exuding an alluring luster, and said in a drawl, after all, the closer you get, the less you see. Nang Xiang looked at Hiroi Kairi in surprise. Hey, what's wrong? Have you finally been smitten by your sister's charm? Hiroi Kairi smiled proudly as he felt Nang Xiang's gaze. No. Nang Xiangxi shook his head, his face full of astonishment. I just didn't expect someone like you to be able to say such handsome lines. Hey? Brother Nan, Nangxiang, what is my image in your eyes? Hiroikairi was stunned. She really couldn't figure out how Nangxiangshi's 37 degrees Celsius mouth could say such cold words. Huh? An unscrupulous musician who just asks kids for money when he's idle. Damn it! Brother Nangxiang, what you said makes my sister feel so heartbroken. I can't survive anymore, please help me rub it. Hiroikairi made a sound of pain and held her chest as if she had been stabbed through the heart by a sharp sword. I'm going to call the police. Frowning his beautiful eyebrows, Nangxiangshi took out his mobile phone. Wait. Don't call the police. Brother Nangxiang. It's just a joke. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiu Dao Yu De Zi Wei. Chapter 325. Letting out a scream, Hiroikairi hurriedly came over and stopped Nangxiangshi from dialing 110. Nangxiangshi. Speechlessly taking the phone back, Nangxiangshi didn't continue to pay attention to Hiroikairi, who was playing tricks just now. After all, what the other person said does make sense. Maybe he just got too close to the end of the band and neglected the band's growth. Watching the girls from the closing band who were able to mingle with Atsuki Yuyuko in just a moment, Nangxiangshi couldn't help but sigh. I didn't expect that they had grown to this point without knowing it. Although it's still a bit green now. But he was able to look directly at his own problems and face his own problems without resorting to his power. That alone ends the band's future by not stopping at the Little Tens Music Festival. Without the help of Nango Toki, the ending band solved Atsuki Yuyuko's problem independently. Ichiki Hunka and others also got a lot of useful advice from Atsuki Yuyuko. For example, the drummer's rhythm, the bass's arbitrary style, and the lead guitar's unconfident playing style, these are problems that only people in the industry can see. They were broken bit by bit by the opponent. Although Atsuki Yuyuko's words were very unkind when she mentioned these shortcomings, and her gesture of holding her chest also had a condescending and arrogant feeling. But by the end no one in the band cared. Even Yamada Ryo may have noticed the fact that Atsuki Yuyuko is a tsundere. While everyone was eating together. Atsuki-senpai, you like fried shrimp tempura, right? Come on, eat more. Yamada Ryo spoke expressionlessly next to him. Don't talk nonsense. I don't like eating. Reluctantly, he threw the fried shrimp in his bowl into Yamada Ryo's bowl. Atsuki Yuyuko could only look at Yamada Ryo and say, okay, then I'll help Atsuki-senpai eat it. After staring at her for 2 or 3 bites, he finished his fried shrimp. After a while. Atsuki-senpai, you may not like the fried shrimp just now, but the sizzling steak made by she is a masterpiece. You really should try it. Humph. I've lost weight recently. I can't eat hamburger meat. Oh, then I'll help Atsuki-senpai eat it. A few more minutes passed. Atsuki-senpai probably likes egg rolls a lot. I see you have a lot of them. Ugh, I gave this to Sister Julie. I don't like eating it. In a little while. Atsuki-senpai. Liang. Stop it. Didn't you see that she was already crying? All in all, today's dinner time was very relaxing and enjoyable for Yamada Ryo. The dinner was delicious. I hope I can hear Nango-san play next time I come here. Atsuki Yuyuko bowed deeply to Nango in front of her. It's just a small thing. Nangxiangshi smiled. It's really just a small thing. You know, he just invited Atsuki Yuyuko to have a meal. I got some inside information that only people in the industry know. For example, this time's 10th Generation Music Festival is a preliminary review system that combines demo, sample audition, and online voting by the organizer. For another example, the 10th Generation Music Festival has already registered 100 bands so far, and 30 bands have been shortlisted from these 100 bands. A meal. Get these messages. No matter how you think about it, it doesn't hurt. Under Nang Xiangshi's gaze, Atsuki Yuyuko first glanced left and right. After not noticing Yamada Ryo's shadow, he hesitated for a while, took out a few Shinjuku fold tickets from his shoulder bag, and leaned closer. These are the tickets for our band, if Nango-san doesn't mind dash. You actually took the initiative to invite Toki to listen to the performance. Could it be that Atsuki-senpai likes Toki very much? Miss Yamada, who seemed to be everywhere, suddenly poked her head out from behind Atsuki Yuyuko. Atsuki Yuyuko opened her mouth. Instinct told her to admit it neatly at this time. But she didn't want to agree with this annoying guy like Yamada Ryo at all. Although I don't want to agree, but... When he looked at Nang Xiang, who was looking at him in front of him, he felt the eyes of Ms. Yamada staring at his back. Tangled. 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 Goo. No, it's nothing. I'll take the first step. Making a sound like a kitten, Atsuki Yuyuko ran away. Nang Xiangshi. Nang Xiangshi took a look at the ticket that was finally stuffed into his hand. Then he glanced at the back of Atsuki Yuyuko, who was running away. Sure enough, for a creature like Tsundere, except for its mouth, which is hard, all other parts of its body are soft. Don't do this to Miss Atsuki next time you see her. Nan Xiangshi stretched out his finger and poked Miss Yamada's expressionless and delicate face. Good. Ms. Yamada agreed without hesitation. Just look at her attitude. Did you hear it or not? This is more doubtful. But Nan Xiang didn't particularly care. After all, now that the band is over, he doesn't have to worry about it as much as before. So, could he start doing some other things as well? For example, use random daughter manifestation card. Staring at the simulator, Nang Xiang had some thoughts. Chapter 237. A father must control his daughter. 4,000 words. The band grew quickly. After Hiroikari's reminder, Nang Xiangshi has clearly realized this. The girls who originally needed his help and encouragement from the front. I have walked to myself unconsciously and can move forward with myself. This made Nang Xiang feel relieved at the same time. It also reminded him of the prop he wanted to use before, random daughter manifestation card. Originally I wanted to use the random daughter display card after the 10th Generation Music Festival ended, but now that the band is ending, I don't need to worry about it as much as before. Sitting in his room on the first floor above the stars, Nang Xiang stood up and took a sip of water while staring at the simulator. Now that the band's affairs are over, he no longer needs to worry about it. Then he can also focus on his own matters. Only. Nan Xiangshi looked at the explanation of random daughter display card in the simulator. Random daughter manifestation card, every simulation, every birth of a new life, is both accidental and destined. Your constant choices and attempts build countless simulated timelines of reality and accident at this moment. Everything is intertwined here. When you see them again, can you still take on the responsibility of a father as you did in the simulation? Use 800 heartbeat points to activate the props, and you will hear their requests to you as a father, should you fulfill their requests. Use it once for 800 heartbeat points. Nang Xiangshi sat at the table while poking at the simulator's toolbar page. The last time I checked, his heart rate was 1660. But after these 2 days of precipitation, the original heartbeat value of 1660 has increased again at this time. From 1660 to now 1840 points. The heartbeat value required to use a random daughter's manifestation card once is 800 points. 1840 may seem like a lot, but in fact it can only activate random daughter manifestation card twice. Same. Except for the heart rate problem. There are other things that need to be paid attention to in Nang Xiang. The first thing to bear the brunt is food, clothing, housing, and transportation. Clothing, food, and transportation are not stressful for Nang Xiangshi. Just go to work more often in Like. There is no big problem in providing it for consumption by my daughter. The key lies in living. You can't let your daughter live in this room with you, right? You must know that this is the ground floor above the stars. It can be said that there is zero distance from the stars exhibition hall. If only Yamada Ryo and Godu Kazuri could see their daughter appearing in reality. That's not something that can be easily fooled. And leave that aside. There is something that Nang Xiang is more concerned about. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiu Dao Yu De Zi Wei. Chapter 326. That is. Timeliness. Nan Xiangxi held up his face and looked up and down at the explanation of the random daughter appearance card prop. From this prop, he did not see how long the other party could stay in reality after his daughter appeared in reality, waiting for an explanation. For example, a daughter who uses 800 heartbeat points to appear in reality can only stay in reality for 2 or 3 days before she can return to the simulated timeline. Then there is no big problem in using this prop. You can use it now to satisfy Nang Xiangxi's curiosity about his future daughter. But if used carelessly, then the manifested daughter cannot return to the simulated timeline. That's a lot of fun. Sanwu's Kurito daughter will always stay in reality and stay at home. This is too pitiful. Therefore, no matter how you look at it, random daughter manifestation card is not the kind of prop that can be used directly with a slap on the thigh. Is it timely? Just when Nang Xiang was hesitating, text emerged from the originally calm simulation page. Do you want to spend 50 hard points to view the detailed prop introduction, whether? Detailed introduction to props. Nang Xiang's spirits perked up, but then he couldn't help but shake his head. Our own simulator lady is indeed the most evil of evils. A prop actually cost him 50 hard points to view the detailed prop introduction. It's like you bought a very sophisticated instrument but it didn't come with an instruction manual. When it's time to use it, the manufacturer suddenly sends you a message asking you to add 50 to him before he is willing to send you the instruction manual. But Nang Xiang didn't care either. After all, the evil of our own simulator is no longer a day or two. Rather than worrying about these, it is better to get the detailed explanation first. Thinking of this, Nan Xiangxi stretched out his finger and clicked on the yes option. Accompanied by a ripple-like special effect, a detailed explanation of the random daughter appearance card item appeared in front of Nang Xiangxi. No. Rather than explaining it in detail, I would rather say, isn't this just adding 2 lines of text? It looks almost exactly the same as the previous annotation, except for the addition of 2 lines of prop explanation. The corners of Nang Xiangxi's mouth twitched. Just for this, you charged him 50 heartbeat points? Feeling as if he had been wronged, Nang Xiang was speechless, but he still looked at the 2 extra lines of annotations. Fortunately, this time the simulator lady did not continue to trick people. The following line of annotation is exactly what Nang Xiangxi was thinking about, and it explains the timeliness. The character appearing through this prop has all the memories of the host. The characters appearing through this prop can appear in reality for 8 days. The first line of comments is easy to understand. That is to say, the daughter who appeared in reality knew the father from Nang Xiang. There will be no such situation where the other party doesn't recognize him even though he appears. This made Nang Xiang feel relieved. At least he didn't have to worry about explaining it to his daughter. The meaning of the second line of comments is even simpler. It is indeed time sensitive. Seeing the 8-day time limit, Nang Xiangxi couldn't help but nod. 100 heartbeat values are displayed for 1 day, and a total of 800 heartbeat values are displayed for 8 days. The simulator calculation method is still the same as before. Very reasonable. If it takes 8 days, it's not unacceptable. It's not that Nang Xiang was bragging. When he first traveled through time, he had experience taking care of children in his hometown in Akita. At that time, because he had just traveled through time, he was not too familiar with the surrounding environment. In addition, he has a special way of dealing with children. So when he was in Nangxiang, he often asked a few little girls from his neighbors to help him with housework and cooking. Sometimes he even asked them to beat his back and massage his waist. To be honest, he was quite popular with these little girls at the time, and sometimes even asked them to hand over their snacks to him. He, on the other hand, kept up the pace of his studies, and from time to time he would eat snacks collected from these little girls to replenish his nutrition. So, let's talk about taking care of little girls. Nangxiang felt that he was actually quite experienced. Then all that's left is use it. Yes. Now that the memory and the time of manifestation have been explained, there is no need to worry. Then there is no need to hesitate next time. Just use random daughter manifestation card. I don't know who will show up. Nangxiang she didn't understand the thoughts and ideas of players who are addicted to card drawing mobile games. But now, at this time, he vaguely resonates with those players who like card drawing mobile games. As of now, Nangxiang she has a total of 6 daughters. Nango no Take, who was born to Ichisato Goto, has a slightly social and shy personality, but is much better than her mother. He has exactly the same eccentric character as Yamada Ryo, and even outshines his predecessor. He often pretends to be Nango Ryo to tease his father, Nango Yuna. Contrary to Nishiki Chisuke's personality, Nango Nahiro is quiet and elegant, and wants to become a literary girl. And the lively and cute Harutoki Nango, who also has the opposite personality to Inu Takina. Then there was the eccentric Nango Mirai who was born to Akane Shinjo. She wanted to be an actor, and even more so, wanted to be her father's bride. And Mei Nango, a cold-faced science otaku who aspires to become a physicist, was born to Ryo Futaba who recently finished her simulation. As for Hikaru Itaki and Ikuyo Kida who ended the band, the personal simulation did not tell the story of the daughter they gave birth to later. So I can't say for sure in Nangxiang. After all, it is possible to give birth to a boy. But judging from all the 6 daughters he currently has, hey, why do I feel like they are more clingy to me in a simulation? I repeatedly read the simulation records of happy endings with each girl. Nangxiang sat down again. It is undoubtedly a good thing that his daughter likes him. But I have too much enthusiasm for my father. It also feels a little inappropriate. But never mind. Nanxiangshi stretched out his finger and glanced at the simulator page. The chance is 1 in 6. If you add in the child born to Ijishi Hikaru and Ikuyo Kida and it is not known whether it will be a boy or a girl, the chance is 1 in 8. As long as among these 8 people, the 2 with the most serious father control plots, Yamada Ryo's daughter, Nango Yuna and Shinjo Akane's daughter, Nango Mirai are not drawn, it will be considered a success. After all, although the other daughters are also somewhat father-controlled. But she didn't say she wanted to marry him in front of Nango she like Mirai Nango did, nor did she often pretend to be Ryo Yamada to trick him into entering the room like Nango Yuna did. Anyway, as long as it's not Nango Mirai or Nango Yuna, everything is easy to discuss. But even Nango Mirai and Nango Yuna. In fact, I didn't really care about it when I was in Nangxiang. After all, as mentioned before, I had experience taking care of little girls when I was in Nangxiang. Maybe we can take this opportunity to get these 2 daughters who are addicted to their father's control complex back on track. With the feeling of praying for a card-drawing mobile game player, Nanxiangshi put his finger on the item bar on the simulation page. Whether to activate the prop random daughter appearance card requires 800 heartbeat points whether. Yes. Without much hesitation, Nanxiangshi clicked his finger on yes. The next second, long ripples rippled from the simulation page in front of me. It's like throwing pebbles into a calm lake. The originally calm simulation page started to fluctuate, and as the fluctuations spread, it became more and more intense. Points and lines begin to combine. At the same time, there is a bright light that makes it difficult to open your eyes. This made Nangxiangshi couldn't help but close his eyes. When I opened my eyes again when I arrived in Nangxiang, I happened to see the figure standing in front of me. It was a young girl in her early 20s. The snow-white face reveals a healthy pink color, and the eyes are large and lovely. The short, shoulder-length black hair looks crisp and neat. Probably a college student. The other party was wearing a black uniform with white edges on his upper body, a dark brown scarf around his neck, and a long mid-length skirt on his lower body. The other party just stood there slim and graceful. He also had an almost perfect, magical sunny smile on his face, exuding a temperament that made others subconsciously want to get close to him. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiudeo Udaziiwei. Chapter 327. And this kind of temperament. Among the girls I knew, I only saw one person in Nangxiang who had it. That is the pink and purple-haired girl who always wears a sunny and magical smile, Akane Shinjo. Then the identity of the girl in front of her is now revealed. There is no doubt that she is the only two people Nango doesn't want to draw, Akane Shinjo and his daughter, Mirai Nango. And when the other party saw Nangxiang, Qian's red eyes, which were originally calm, also surged with an eagerness so fast that Nangxiang was a little overwhelmed. Bang! Close the door firmly. Standing outside the door, Nangxiang couldn't help but take a breath. What the hell? Nangxiangshi couldn't help but click on the simulator and took a look at the content above again. After confirming that I used random daughter manifestation card. The content is correct. Nangxiangshi didn't understand it at all. Then why is the daughter who appears older than him? Are you sure it's the daughter who appears? Why is his daughter older than him? Nangxiangshi originally thought he could not take care of a 5 or 6-year-old girl, but he was also very experienced. As a result, the moment Nangxiang's future appeared, he was completely confused. What 5 or 6 years old? Nangxiang has already gone to college in the future. And the key point is that, coincidentally, the father controls his daughter. Nangxiangshi was already starting to have a headache. Only then did he react. Random daughter manifestation card. Although it says random daughter, it does not say that the age will be fixed. In other words, after using this prop, the age at which his daughter appears is also random. It may be a child, it may be an adult. What gave him even more headaches was, now the adult Nangxiang Mirai is staying in his room, even knocking on the door with a smile and asking why he doesn't go in. Through simulation, Nangxiangshi has a clear understanding of the degree of paternal control in Nangxiang's future. Stay in the same room with her. It can be said to be a particularly bad thing in every sense of the word. He had considerable reason to suspect that his daughter would take action against his old father. No, his daughter is older now, so it should be the old daughter who would take action against her younger father. Just thought of this. While standing outside in Nangxiang, my head started to hurt again. Chapter 238. It's father and daughter anyway. 4,100 words. Ah, I haven't had it for a long time. Dad's cooking is so delicious. She was very well educated but swept away the dishes placed in front of her at an extremely fast speed. The girl with crimson eyes complained while eating. I have always eaten what my mother cooks since I was little. I haven't eaten something so delicious for a long time. Why? It's obviously so delicious. At this point, Nangxiang's face was full of complaints and confusion in the future. Because I wanted to be lazy and didn't want to move, so I left everything to Akane. Nangxiang, who was looking at his phone and trying to find a hotel that didn't require ID, raised his head and answered casually. He didn't care at all about his fatherly image in Nang Xiang Future's eyes. Rather, the worse his image in Nang Xiang Future's mind, the better. Let the other party become disillusioned, thereby achieving the purpose of reducing the other party's favorability towards you. To change the other person's father-controlling personality, you must start now. But, as expected of a father, he actually admitted it so decisively and honestly. No wonder that stupid woman with an awkward personality likes Dad, huh? Record it? I like Dad even more today, and I learned about another side of Dad that no one else can know. Showing a quirky smile, Nang Xiang left a record on her mobile phone in the future. Nang Xiang Shi. This severe father control. This kind of reverse operation can actually increase your favorability. As a normal man, Nang Xiang Shi really couldn't understand how the brain circuit of a creature controlled by his father was structured. And do you ever call your mother that? Just a stupid woman? Although Ms. Shinjo is indeed silly sometimes, she is particularly easy to deal with. But as a daughter, isn't it a bit bad for you to say that to her? Nang Xiangxi couldn't help but shake his head. But he also knows. I want to hammer down Nang Xiang's future father-controlling character. The main thing is to move the topic away from him first. So Nang Xiangxi thought about it and said, looking at how you look now, you must have gone to a performing arts university, right? Yeah. Thanks to Dad's help. He spent a lot of money on me to take acting classes since I was a child, and he also helped me contact a particularly famous acting university in Tokyo. I like Dad even more. That aspect aside, how was the course? My father helps me write scripts at home and also talks with me about my lines. Oh my, I like my father so much. How were your grades in college? Don't worry, Dad, I didn't embarrass you. You got perfect scores in all exams. Does Dad like a daughter like this? No. You can't talk about anything else besides me. Huh? We can't talk about anything else besides Daddy? Come to think of it, is there anything else to talk about besides Daddy? Looking at the expression on his face, there's nothing to talk about except father, right? Expression of Nang Xiang future. Nang Xiangxi took a breath of cold air. What kind of father-controlled girl is this? There are literally 3 sentences that cannot be separated from him. How does Akane Shinjo educate Nango Mirai at home? Nang Xiang was strictly suspicious. It was Shinjo Akane's improper education that caused her daughter to become like this. But at least the person my daughter likes is him. This was the only place where Nan Xiang felt relieved. At least this shows that Nang Xiang has a very good eye for seeing people in the future. I know the excellence of the perfect boy like him in Nang Xiang, the most beautiful boy in the world. Think about it this way. When I was in Nang Xiang, I felt much better. Oh, mainly because I didn't expect it at all. Nang Xiang picked up his bowls, chopsticks, and plates in the future, glanced around, and then looked at Nang Xiangxi. Gazing at his handsome face, she showed the expression of some kind of carnivorous creature watching its prey. Although my father in middle age looked good-looking, calm, and elegant, with a scholarly temperament, my father when he was a student. It's also very good. The current Nang Xiangxi was very different from the elegant and calm father she remembered who always held a book in his hand and flipped through it, taking care of everything in an orderly manner under the spring sunshine. His eyes are sharp, his expression is confident and steady, his short black hair is messy, but he has an indescribable sense of vitality, and his voice is clear, making Nang Xiang want to listen to it a few more times in the future. The key is this youthful feeling of being a high school student. Let Nang Xiang, who is older than the current Nang Xiang, be in the future. There is a perverse feeling of a big sister relying on a little boy. Pay attention to your words and deeds, Nang Xiangxi said. Humph, on the other hand, I also want to say that there are no girls who can remain rational in the face of such a father, right? He washed the dishes and chopsticks very consciously and put them in the sink to drain. Nang Xiang sat down directly back to Nang Xiang in the future and faced him. My mother also told me that when I was a student, my father was basically a walking succubus. Every week there was a love letter in the shoe cabinet, and every Valentine's Day the shoebox was filled with chocolates / Don't think of me as some kind of creature that only appears in R18 animation. Isn't what I said the truth? Although the truth is true, it is far less exaggerated than what your mother said. Nang Xiangxi shook his head. Nang Xiang's future theory is indeed true. 1 year into this world, Nang Xiangxi must clean up one copy of the love letters in the shoebox every week. The peak period was when I was a freshman in high school. There are always all kinds of girls confessing to him. There are senior students and junior students. There are both sports students and painting students. It's just that at that time, Nang Xiang was preoccupied with studies and felt that falling in love was too troublesome, so he rejected all the girls who confessed to him, leaving no one behind. Probably because there were too many people who refused. Therefore, the number this semester has been reduced a lot, and it is not as exaggerated as before. As expected of a father, he has been so lovable since he was a student. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiu Dao Yu de Zi Wei. Chapter 328. Nang Xiang sighed after listening to Nang Xiangxi's words in the future. Although there were boys who confessed their love to her in her time, they were still far inferior to those in Nang Xiang. How can I be your father if I'm not so good? Nang Xiangxi glanced sideways at Nang Xiang's future and felt confident. Well. When Nang Xiang asked him this question, Nang Xiang didn't react for a while. Mainly because the tone of the other person's words was too confident. But Nang Xiang quickly adjusted his mood in the future and said with a smile. He, this kind of narcissistic feeling is exactly the same as the father in my impression. It's just a fact. It's not about narcissism or not. Nang Xiangxi corrected Nang Xiang future's speech disorder and put down the phone at the same time. As expected, I still couldn't find a hotel that didn't require ID to check in. And to put it bluntly, even if there is such a black hotel, Nang Xiangxi is not at all worried about Nang Xiang staying in it in the future. After all, the other party is also a girl. This is really difficult. Nang Xiangxi shook his head and could only think of other solutions. And just when Nang Xiang was still thinking about how to arrange Nang Xiang's future, after surveying the surrounding environment, Nang Xiang Mirai suddenly spoke, Hey. Speaking of which, this should be Hengxia's mother and Aunt Zinga's Star's performance hall, right? After hearing Nan Xiang's words in the future, Nan Xiang's eyes flashed with surprise. Why do you know Hengxia and Zinga's store manager? And you call Hengxia mom? Nang Xiangxi asked immediately. No wonder Nan Xiang asked such a question. The key is in the route simulated by Akane Shinjo. Since he devoted all his energy to Shinjo Akane, although his relationship with the ending band was very good, it was only a good relationship. At most, they are at the level of friend. There was no memory or scene in the simulation of Nangomarai calling IDC Hunka mom. The only person Nang Xiang will know in the future is Rika Bayada. But why does the other party seem to be very familiar with Yi Diji Hongxia and Yi Diji Xing Ji? Nang Xiang felt something was wrong. Because he vaguely felt that although the fact that Nang Xiang was his daughter in the future had not changed, perhaps the other party came from a simulated route that he was unaware of. For example, it is a happy ending route where he simultaneously gets married to his bandmate Akane Shinjo. This issue must be clarified in Nang Xiang. So he asked directly. And what Nang Xiang said in the future can be regarded as verifying what he was thinking. Don't you know, father? In the future, you will not only marry your mother, but also Ryo's mother, Akude's mother, Hongxia's mother, and Ichiri's mother who have ended the band. It seemed that he noticed the seriousness in Nang Xiangxi's words. Nang Xiangmarai, who had been quirky since he sat down, calmed down his temper and patiently explained to Nang Xiang, "At least that's how it will be in my future." After listening to Nang Xiang's words in the future, Nang Xiang groaned in thought. It seems like this. Random daughter manifestation card is more than just a random age and random daughter. This prop can even randomly produce daughters from other futures and other simulated lines. This is really. Nan Xiangxi put down his palm. The future is changing rapidly. Random daughter manifestation card has such an effect and it is quite natural. But apart from this, Nan Xiangxi raised his head. In the future, when you come to this era, do you have anything to say to me? Or do you have any request for me? That's right. Nang Xiang clearly remembered the comment on the random daughter appearance card. Use 800 heartbeat points to activate the props, and you will hear their requests to you as a father, should you fulfill their requests. It can be seen from this line of comments alone. The future of Nang Xiang who appeared in this era must have some kind of request that he needs to help complete. Nang Xiang's intuition told him. These requests should be certain things that he has to complete. Of course I have a request. Nang Xiangxi's words suddenly made Nang Xiang feel energetic in the future. She raised her finger without hesitation, "From now on, Dad, you must love me as much as your mother. They are father and daughter anyway, so it doesn't matter if they sleep together, right? My daughter's words are absolute. My daughter is God. Dad, you must pay attention to your daughter's physical and mental health all the time. Only in this way can I thrive." The more she talked, the more enthusiastic she became. Similarly, it's okay for Dad to like me as much as Mom. It's okay for me to give it to you if Mom can't give it to you. I'm sorry, Dad, I was too complacent. Nang Xiangmarai, who was talking more and more enthusiastically, soon noticed his father's expression. He didn't speak. He just looked at her with a very calm expression. It was an expression without any ripples or emotion. But just this look. Just looking at it gave Nang Xiang a feeling of frightening fear in the future. It's like prey meeting the apex predator. Fear seeped out from deep inside. If you keep talking, you might get beaten. This is what Nang Xiang's sixth sense tells him in the future. So scary. After swallowing, just feeling Nang Xiangxi's gaze, Nang Xiang couldn't help lowering his head in the future, not daring to continue talking. Sure enough, whether it is Nang Xiang time in the future or Nang Xiang time now, they are not things that a daughter of hers can tease. Fortunately, her father did not continue to stare at her. Just watching her put away her careless attitude, she looked away, and then said, "What I want to ask is not my attitude towards you, but whether you have any regrets, or whether you have a request that I need to complete now." Regret, or request? Nang Xiangmarai blinked Jian's red eyes. At first she didn't quite understand what Nang Xiang was talking about. But soon she showed a look of realization. It does happen. It's just not mine, but my mother's regret. Oh. Nang Xiang's attention was drawn. It seemed that his prediction was not wrong at all. Nang Xiang will appear in this era in the future, and she really has her reasons. In this case, Nang Xiangxi did not hesitate, looked at Nang Xiangmarai, and asked, "What regrets does Akane have?" Nang Xiangmarai thought for a while, then held the water glass with both hands and raised his head. "Father should know about Karasawa Yuka, right?" Nang Xiangxi. Of course I remember Karasawa Yuka when I was in Nangxiang. In Akane Shinjo's simulated route. Karasawa Yuka is definitely someone who cannot be avoided. According to what Akane Shinjo said to him in the simulation. Yuka Karasawa is the maid of the Shinjo family. Akane Shinjo was not loved by her parents when she was young, so Akane Shinjo's parents left her in the care of the maid Yuka Karasawa. It is precisely because of Karasawa Yuka's care and help. Shinjo Akane, who was supposed to grow up very twisted, reluctantly embarked on the path of a normal person. Similarly, Yuka Karasawa is the only real relative that Shinjo Akane cares about in the Shinjo family. It's just in Akane Shinjo's simulated route. In Nango, he only got information about Yuka Karasawa from Akane Shinjo, who was also a senior in high school. Although I wanted to actually meet the other party, I never had the chance. Until the end of the simulation. Karasawa Yuka is still a mystery to Nang Xiangxi. The current time is April 7, 2023. Nan Xiang looked at the time in the future, and then said to Nan Xiang with great certainty, "It happens to be the time when Aunt Tangzi is hospitalized for treatment." Chapter 239. This child is my daughter. 4,000 words. Listen to your daughter's explanation. Nang Xiangxi gradually understood the cause and effect. It turned out that it wasn't that Akane Shinjo didn't want to introduce Yuka Karasawa to him. But in the simulation, when their relationship progressed to boyfriend and girlfriend, Karasawa Yuka had already passed away due to his illness. It's not that I don't want to meet. But there is no chance to meet at all. This also explains why, as the most important person in Shinjo Akane's life, Karasawa Yuka did not attend the wedding to Shinjo Akane when they were in Nango. After that, Nango never heard Akane Shinjo mention anything about Yuka Karasawa. Probably for the girl who always wears a mask to force a smile. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiudeo Udazi. Chapter 329. The death of Karasawa Yuka must be a regret that she will never be able to erase in her life. It is precisely because of regret. That's why she didn't tell Nan Xiang about this matter. I don't want him to cause trouble too. After all, there is no resurrection after death. Thinking of this, Nang Xiang sighed. The pink and purple girl who always wears a sunny and cheerful mask unexpectedly also has such a heart that considers others. But it is also her acting skills that are so superb. That's why she didn't notice her changes in mood when simulating Zhongnan Township. I only found out about Aunt Tang's story after occasionally reading my mother's diary. Nang Xiang coughed dryly in the future. She didn't want to tell Nang Xiang that she wanted to find out the other person's interests and hobbies, so she peeked at her mother's diary when she was young. But that's all. Naturally, she didn't hide anything and told everything she knew. It seems that the fatigue accumulated from working as a maid has caused heart problems. Nang Xiangxi. Nang Xiang let out a breath. No wonder when I met Akane Shinjo recently, although she was obviously happy, she also had some uneasiness hidden under her happy expression. It turns out that's why. Nan Xiang murmured to himself. Because I didn't want him to worry, I hid the matter about Karasawa Yuka. This is very much in line with Akane Shinjo's style. Thinking of this, Nan Xiangxi couldn't help but sigh. Fortunately, the daughter who appeared in reality this time was Nang Xiangmarai. If it were another daughter, he probably didn't know that Akane Shinjo had hidden such an important thing from him. Thinking of this, Nang Xiangxi reached out his hand and put it on her head, stroking her head under Nang Xiangmarai's surprised gaze. Not bad, it's all thanks to you this time, future. Nang Xiangxi expressed his gratitude from the bottom of his heart. No, don't treat me like a child, Dad, I'm already 21 this year. Nang Xiang blushed in the future and wanted to turn his head to one side. But Nan Xiangxi's touch seemed to have some kind of magic power, preventing her from making such a move and could only make such a small protest. Nang Xiangxi didn't care about his daughter's protest. He always only did what he wanted to do. And judging from Nang Xiangmarai's expression, this quirky daughter is actually not very resistant to this kind of action. After touching the other person's head for a while, he felt that it was almost done. Nang Xiangxi let go of his hand and thought about things about Karasawa Yuka. According to what my daughter said. The hospital where Karasawa Yuka is located is Tokyo General Medical Hospital, which has targeted treatment methods for heart diseases in Tokyo. When I was in Nango, I had the impression that the General Medical Hospital was also a very famous large hospital in Tokyo. It was probably a request Akane Shinjo made to her parents. Otherwise, given Karasawa's excellent conditions, it would be impossible to afford a hospital of this level. It's hard to handle. Although he has such a convenient tool as universal healing medicine, he currently has 900 heartbeat points which can be exchanged for a universal healing medicine. However, as a famous hospital in Tokyo, the review of the inpatient departments of general medical hospitals is particularly strict. Without a medical visit permit registration, it is impossible to enter directly even in Nangxiang. But, although it is difficult to handle, it is not impossible, if Ryo helps. Thinking of this, Nangxiang shook his head speechlessly. Why has it become the feeling of Ms. Yamada, please save me again? That's right. I also asked Ryo Yamada for help when I was simulating Zongnan Township. It's not even just a simulation. In reality, the Tokyo Red Cross aid for the Riko orphanage was obtained with the help of Miss Yamada. This is not possible. It feels like I'm eating Miss Yamada's soft rice. Nangxiang sighed inwardly. But, when it comes to hospital matters, it is undoubtedly easiest to ask a well-known lady like Miss Yamada, whose family is in the private hospital business. Nanxiangshi shook his head, but finally made up his mind. Although he was suspected of being a softie, he still planned to ask Miss Yamada to help. At least ask her to help get a limited time visit pass for the inpatient department of Tokyo Medical General Hospital. As long as the universal healing medicine can be brought in and given to Karasawa Yuka, it will be considered a success. Having made up his mind, Nangxiangshi decided to go down and discuss with Ryo Yamada later. But before he could get up, Nangxiang Mirai in front of him suddenly made a somewhat excited voice. Speaking of which, what do Hengxia's mother and Liang's mother look like right now? I'm very curious. Yes, Nangxiang is curious about the future. Although she was summoned here for unknown reasons. But perhaps because of the Nangxiang family's unique big heart gene, Nangxiang doesn't particularly care about the future. On the contrary, I was vaguely excited about being able to see my father in high school, as well as Hikaru Itaki and Ryo Yamada. You should know that this situation can be said to be extremely rare, even extremely rare. Nangxiangshi. Looking at his daughter up and down, Nangxiangshi had no intention of hiding anything. After all, the other party's desire to meet Ajishi Hengxia and Yamada Ryo is actually the same as his desire to meet his future daughter. As a father, he can't even fail to meet his daughter's small demands. Hengxia, you should be organizing the equipment with Ryo down there now. It is now past 10 o'clock, and the performance in the Stars exhibition hall has basically ended. Goto Kazuri and Kita Ikuyo have already left because they have to catch the train. Hikaru Itaki and Ryo Yamada, who live in the Shimokitazawa area, stayed at Stars to organize the equipment after the performance. Let me take a look. Looking more and more excited, Nangxiang couldn't control his mood in the future and stood up. But it doesn't matter if you meet once, but I want to tell you, don't mess around, Nangxiangshi added specifically. It's not a big problem to meet him, but he still needs to be reminded of things that need to be reminded. After all, Nangxiang future is his own daughter who came from the future. It wouldn't be good if Yamada Ryo and Ajishi Hikaru sense that something is wrong, or even expose her identity. Regarding Nangxiangshi's words, Nangxiang Mirai puffed out his cheeks and prolonged his dissatisfaction. Dad, how old do you think I am? I am already 21 years old this year. She hugged the same well-developed breasts as her mother, Akane Shinjo, and dismissed Nangashi's words. Anyway, I'm already 21 and in college. I'm not the childish age that needs you to take care of me all the time. Of course I know what's appropriate. I care too much. That's true. Nangxiang. She looked up and down at Nangxiang Mirai again. The girl wearing a mid-length skirt with black background and white edges has a beautiful and delicate face that looks more mature than her mother. It was true that he cared too much. The other party is already 21 years old, so he must not be so ignorant. He nodded, acquiescing to Nangxiang's future statement. Then, Hengxia's mother. Liang's mother. I miss you so much. Seeing Nango Mirai, who was a little taller than Yamada Ryo, hugging the astonished Hikaru Itaki and the expressionless Yamada Ryo, Nango fell into silence. The preface is withdrawn. I am too naive. The 21-year-old future lady of Nangxiang is not as mature as she said. He couldn't even understand it. A person with such a moral character actually has the nerve to say that she is very measured and not childish at all? Where does the shame come from? He didn't inherit the good genes from his time in Nangxiang. Instead, he inherited all aspects of narcissism and self-confidence, right? Just looking at the confused expressions on Ichiki Hunka and Yamada Ryo's faces. Nangxiang had already begun to feel some toothache when she was in the hospital, and she even had the idea of pressing Nangxiang down in the future and slapping her butt with a cane. But now is not the time to do such a thing. Nangxiang took a wordless breath and stepped forward. The people who were even more speechless and strange than when they were in Nango were undoubtedly Yamada Ryo and Itaishi Hakeza, who had just cleaned the stage. They both just finished cleaning. Before I could sit down and take a rest, I suddenly heard the words Mother Hengxia, Mother Liang. Then a girl ran towards them and hugged them both. What's happening here? Yujizi Hengxia, who had never seen such a situation before, was stunned at that time and allowed the other party to hug her for more than 10 seconds before she came to her senses. No. This big sister, are you? She couldn't help but speak subconsciously. It's me. It's me. I'm the future. Doesn't Hengxia's mother recognize me? You were the one who brought me up when I was a child. Ha. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiudeo Udazi. Chapter 330. Yujizi Hengxia opened her mouth, and the expression on her face changed from strange to stunned. No. What is this person talking about? Mother. What mother? You look to be in your 20s, right? Did I bring you up? What on earth is this person talking about? Ichiki Hengxia felt that she might have met a strange person and was just about to speak. But he was interrupted by the expressionless Yamada Ryo, who was also hugged next to him. Hengxia, is this a relative of yours? She turned her head and asked. I don't have a relative who always pounces on people and calls them mom, okay? Ichiki Hengxia was so angry at her wicked bass player that she directly denied it. Then why did she call you mom? Do I know that? And doesn't she also call you mom? Why can't she be your relative? I don't have such strange relatives in my family. Ryo, you mean there is such a strange relative in my family, right? Kick. Clenching her fists, Ichiki knew that Hengxia wanted to give Yamada Ryo a joint attack next to her, so that she would know what it means to have trouble come from your mouth. But the top priority is to solve the immediate problem. Yuji knew that Hengxia had no intention of fighting with her evil bassist, and was just about to ask about the situation of the girl in front of her who claimed to be his daughter. But, Mother Liang, have you forgotten to? Don't say weird things. Yamada Ryo frowned. Don't think that saying nice things will make me approve of you. Yamada Ryo said expressionlessly, I'm not as easy to fool as Hengxia. You asked me to listen to your bass collection, saying that it was bass music that could shock the world. You also said that in the future, you would rely on the music in this collection to win the first place on Billboard, the most authoritative European and American pop music industry. Singles chart, make a lot of money, and live a luxurious life selling bases one by one. You also said that your goal is to participate in the world's largest Glastonbury Music Festival. Are these words false? Ryo Yamada. Turning his head expressionlessly, Yamada Ryo looked at Ijishi Hunka, touched Nango Mirai's head with his hand, and said in a positive tone. This child is indeed my daughter. Yidizi Hungzia. Should I say that she is worthy of Miss Yamada? He can be so decisive when it comes to turning back at critical moments. The moral integrity and lower limits are simply countless times lower than ordinary people. Just when Yidizi Hungzia was about to say something, there was a voice from the side, and a huge force pulled the girl holding them apart. Sorry, I actually know this guy. Shijun. When looking at Nang Xiang, who suddenly appeared, Yidizi Hungzia breathed a sigh of relief subconsciously. After all, compared to an unreliable and unscrupulous bassist, this ally who jumped out when she was still in Nang Xiang made her feel more at ease. Shi-kun, is she? Oh, she is my distant relative, she has the same surname as me, her name is Nang Xiang Mirai. With an apologetic smile, Nang Xiangshi covered Nang Xiang Mirai's mouth and gave a brief introduction. She has been coming to Tokyo for college for a while, and she happened to hear you finishing the band's performance when she came to visit me, so I instantly became your fan. But, well, she just called me. Recalling Nang Xiang Mirai, who just said mother, Yidizi Hungzia subconsciously spoke. It can be considered a kind of fanaticism. Mom fans and dad fans are quite common in this era, right? Nang Xiang smiled and gave the answer easily, while covering Nang Xiang's future mouth. Having seen how unreliable his daughter was, he decided to deprive her of her right to speak from now on. Chapter 240, Whose daughter is this? 4,000 words. Nango Shi deprived Nango Mirai, a rebellious girl, of her right to speak, and instead chose to talk to Yidizi Hunka and Yamada Ryo by herself. With his extremely excellent social skills, the topic of Nang Xiang Mirai's rash shouting mom just now was also successfully fooled. At least Yidizi Hungzia didn't care at all, and even greeted Nang Xiang Mirai with a smile. But it was just a greeting. This way of suddenly jumping out and hugging her daughter fan, whom she calls Hungzia's mother, to express her love. For a girl who is only 17 years old, it is still a bit too intense. Yuji knew that Hungzia really didn't care anymore. But Ryo Yamada on the other side was staring at Nang Xiang Mirai and remained silent without saying a word. It is different from Ichiki Hungzia's tolerance and gentleness. She has a completely different view on the future of Nang Xiang that has just emerged. To be more precise, Yamada Ryo became suspicious. If it were an ordinary person, after hearing Nang Xiang's explanation, taking another look at Nang Xiang's future, who is obviously older than them, they probably won't care about Nang Xiang's future anymore. But Yamada Ryo is not an ordinary person. She usually maintains a thorough approach to the things she cares about. If Nang Xiang calls her mother Liang in the future, it can be explained by using her daughter Fan. But when Nang Xiang called her in the future, there is no adulteration in the tone of those words that only appeal to the mother, asking for love. This feeling is as if I am really the other person's mother. Of course, that's not all the doubt. Yamada Ryo still remembers what Nango said when he hugged her when they met in the future. The bass music collection was selected as the #1 song list on Billboard, and I want to participate in Glastonbury Music Festival. These two goals are secrets that Ryo Yamada has never mentioned to anyone. Even in Nang Xiang, Yamada Ryo never said that she still had such dreams and goals. But Nang Xiang completely revealed her thoughts as soon as they met in the future. This makes Yamada Ryo even more suspicious of the relationship between Nango Toki and Nango Mirai. And you can easily spot it if you look carefully. The future of Nang Xiang is actually very similar to the time of Nang Xiang. The softness of the eyebrows. Very clean eyes. And when you smile, it gives people an inexplicable sense of reliability. Ms. Yamada's suspicion grew stronger. She seriously doubted it. The Nangxiang future in front of her is really Nang Xiangshi's daughter. After such an inference can be made, we have to face another important problem. That's the age gap thing. Nang Xiang was a 17-year-old high school sophomore of the same age as her. As for Nang Xiang's future appearance, he would definitely be a college student in his early 20s. How could 17-year-old Nan Xiang have a daughter in her 20s? This itself is impossible. But I don't care about that. Yamada Ryo murmured to himself without any expression. She continued her free-spirited and self-centered character who didn't care about anyone's eyes or what others would think. She couldn't go wrong. Even if what she insists on is completely opposite to the current view, then the world must be wrong, and she can't be wrong. This is how Ryo Yamada has always behaved. Nang Xiang will be Nang Xiangshi's daughter in the future. Ryo Yamada finally came to this conclusion. After all, I have been in contact with Nang Xiang for so long. The girl actually vaguely felt that the other person probably had some kind of supernatural ability. In this case, Yamada Ryo held his chin, and when he looked at Nango Mirai and the smiling Nango, he secretly made a decision in his heart. At the same time, on the other side, it's already this time. IDC Hungzia, who had a fairly happy chat with Nang Xiang, looked down at her phone and then made a surprised sound. It's already 11 o'clock. Although her home is right next to the Stars exhibition hall, she doesn't have to go out of her way to catch the train. But this point is still very late for a girl like her. It's already this time, Toki-kun, Ryo, and Miss Mirai, I'm going to take the first step. Could you trouble Toki-kun to close the gate to the Stars? Ken. Recently when Nang Xiang moved into the Stars performance hall, he was the last one to close it. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiudeo Udazi Iway. Chapter 331. Okay, then I'll take my leave now. Ryuya should go home quickly. Miss Future and Toki-kun should also rest as soon as possible. After standing up and saying hello to Yamada Ryo and Nango Mirai again, Ichiki Hunka turned around and left. Yide knew that Hongxia was gone. Indeed, he went back without looking back. Although she could leave without any worries. But Nang Xiangshi couldn't rest as early as possible as she said. Because except where he sleeps, he still has to find a way to prepare a place for Nang Xiang to live in the future. That's right. As a resident of the future world, Nang Xiangshi has seen Nang Xiang's future driver's license, university student ID card and other documents. The certificate marked with the date of 2052 cannot be used in today's era. If you show this kind of certificate to the hotel or hotel owner, the other party must have felt that Nang Xiangshi and Nang Xiang future were deliberately teasing him. In other words, it is basically impossible to use Nang Xiang's future documents to live outside the country. The other party is essentially a three-no-black household. This made Nang Xiangshi glance at his simulator, feeling a little speechless. When he was in China, he could often see online novels that traveled through different worlds. At that time, the system specially prepared identities for the protagonist team that fit that world. But what about your own system? It can be said that it has no effect at all. He just pulls people over and doesn't care about the other person's food, clothing, housing, and transportation. Miss Simulator, you are really irresponsible. Nang Xiangshi couldn't help but poke at the simulator page with his hand. No legal documents. No emulator helps. Even if you have money, it is difficult to find a place to live outside. You can't rush your daughter to sleep in an internet cafe for one night, right? Although Japanese internet cafes have comics, self-service drinks, and you can also call the staff to order food. But an internet cafe is an internet cafe. No matter how well packaged it is, that kind of place is where runaways, rebellious youths, and homeless people who can't find a place to live gather. Let your daughter spend a night in a place where there is a mixture of good and bad. In Nangxiang, there were 10,000 people who were worried. So, even if there is some reluctance, Nangxiang she felt that he would probably be in the same room as Nangxiang Future tonight. But Nangxiang she thought and glanced at Nangxiang Mirai next to him. Nangxiang Mirai seemed to realize something at this time, and was looking at him with an extremely eager and smiling expression. On that delicate face, which inherited all the advantages of the Nangxiang family and the Xinzhou family, there was a hint of excitement. If it were other daughters, Nangxiang she probably wouldn't care so much, and wouldn't be so entangled. It's just a room, it's a father and daughter anyway. But this guy, Nangxiang Mirai, is a girl controlled by her father. And it's the kind of person who has been controlled by his father since childhood. Being in the same room with this kind of person, Nangxiang had every reason to worry about her virginity. However, Nangxiang Mirai seemed to understand what he was thinking at this time. He coughed lightly and urged from the side, "Dad, Shijun, look. Hongxia has said that, shouldn't we two go and rest as soon as possible?" When saying this, she hid all the enthusiasm and excitement on her face. His righteous expression seemed like he just wanted to sleep because it was too late now. But no matter how well she hides it, she can't escape Nangxiang Shi's eyes. The other person's breathing was obviously heavier, and his expression looked wrong. No. Absolutely not. I feel like if I were in the same room with this guy, something would definitely happen. Nangxiang frowned. If it doesn't work out, he can go to an internet cafe and stay for one night. Anyway, we can't let this rebellious woman succeed. Thinking this, Nangxiang Shi was about to speak. The next second, "Come and live at my house in the future." Lazy and elegant, Ryo Yamada crossed his fingers and blinked his amber eyes. The tear stain under his dark blue hair showed a hint of temptation. And what she said? It also stunned Nangxiang in the future, who was about to succeed. She really didn't expect it? In this case the cooked duck cannot fly. Yamada Ryo actually stepped in. She opened her mouth, but couldn't help but speak, wait, Liangma, miss, didn't you just meet me for half an hour? It's not appropriate to let me stay at your house like this. Bar. This is true. It only took half an hour from the time Nangxiang Mirai went downstairs to meet Yamada Ryo. From an ordinary person's perspective, no one would be able to invite someone like Nangxiang Mirai who they just met to live in their home. This kind of behavior is like if you meet a high school girl who has run away from home on the street, the first thing you do is not choose to call the police, but take her home. But it is obvious that Miss Yamada is not an ordinary person. After hearing Nangxiang Mirai's words, she simply raised her head and then spoke. "It doesn't matter, you will be my daughter in the future anyway, right?" "Why?" As soon as the words were spoken, Nangxiang Mirai, who was about to say something just now, was stuck for just a moment. But the lag was only for a moment. Nangxiang Mirai quickly used her talents as a college student in the acting department, showing a steady smile on her lips, while lowering her tone to increase the credibility of her words. "Miss Liang, what are you talking about? Didn't I already say it before? I'm just a fan of the band that ended." Her expression was serious, her tone was clear, and she looked directly at Yamada Ryo. "No matter who you are, you will probably feel that what Nangxiang said in the future is the truth. But when, she is our daughter, right?" Yamada Ryo ignored Nangxiang Mirai's words, and simply turned his head to look at Nangxiang Shi with his own attitude. Well, indeed. She came into this world for some reason. I could feel the seriousness in Yamada Ryo's expression. Nangxiang Shi did not continue to hide it, and simply confessed. "It is true that you cannot mention this matter to anyone. The exceptions were Ms. Yamada and Chisuknishi Kiki, who were not present. Even if you talk about this matter with the two of them, it is estimated that these two people are just having fun more than anything else and don't care about other things at all. So facing Ryo Yamada in front of him, there was no need to hide Nango's future identity. Dad. Nang Xiangxi admitted it. Nan Xiang's future here immediately became unbearable. Her pink lips parted, her eyes widened, and she complained, "How could you say this to Liang's mother? Didn't you ask me to keep my mouth shut? It would be better if Nang Xiang didn't mention this matter in the future. I get angry when I mention Nang Xiang." He reached out and poked Nang Xiang Marai's head directly. "I asked you to keep it secret, but did you keep it secret in the end? Weren't you the first to tell Liang and Hengxia about your identity?" I couldn't help but shake my head. "You know how to blame me now." But, that. Nang Xiang glanced left at Nang Xiang in the future. He glanced to his right at Yamada Ryo with amber eyes. The two people present were much older than her. She really couldn't bring herself to resist, so she just let out a woo and fell into silence. And seeing her give up resistance, Yamada Ryo on the other side simply came over and asked curiously, "Whose child is this?" Just look at the look in Nang Xiang Marai's eyes and the way he speaks. Ryo Yamada can naturally feel it. Nang Xiang is not the child she had with Nang Xiang in the future. But this doesn't mean that Yamada Ryo doesn't like each other. Although it may be the child of a competitor. But the child is ultimately innocent. She, Miss Yamada, is willing to tolerate and forgive Nang Xiang in the future with an all-embracing mind. "It's my and Akane's child." Nang Xiangxi didn't hide anything, he just confessed. "It's the child of the woman with pink and purple hair."